Redditors that have gotten a fake degree, listed entirely fake accomplishments, or otherwise lied on a resume. How's that going for you? A friend's sister completely lied about a degree and experience working in the hotel industry. Every bit of all of her claims were entire fairy tale bullshit. She got a job and within 2 years was the assistant manager of a very large, very nice hotel. They found out she lied about her degree and demoted her. She immediately went to the competition and got a job because she had experience. Any idea why they bothered to check after 2 years of working there? I've seen it happen just because they let their guard down and said the wrong thing with the wrong person around. That person gets suspicious and starts poking around. When I was younger, I lied my buns off to get my first, real, job. Embellished everything from my final GPA with my degree, to the work experience I'd had previously. Lot of stretched truths or complete lies. But I was desperate. Had no money, nothing of value but an older car, and I had applied to 60 places the honest way and gotten 60 rejections. The job was hours and hours away in a different city, so I knew I would have to move for it, and I figured, why not? No one was going to know me out there. I could get away with it, probably. It was brutal. The "keep calm and carry on" slogan might as well have been my bread and butter. I was in way over my head for a few months, but I didn't let it stop me. I asked questions, I observed and learned everything I needed to learn, and I worked long hours without complaints. I was your typical, yes man when the boss asked for something. Training, volunteering, shadowing the more experienced employees, I did it all. By the time I left that job, I had all of the skills I needed for the next one. I would never recommend lying for a high-level position, but I can say that by getting my foot in the door at the first job, I did set the foundation to build on for the next. I would not be where I am today if I hadn't. The year was 1993 and I needed a summer job while I was in college. I completely and totally lied when I was asked if I had computer experience, and if I was proficient with WordPerfect. In my head I'm like, what's that? But aloud I was like, sure. When I got the job, office reception, I didn't know how to find the power switch on the computer. I taught myself a lot of software that summer, and I ended it by installing a database and populating it with about 700 student files. I also sent my first email. I parlayed that job into a temp secretary job when I graduated, which I was promoted out of into a full-time job in HR, and I was promoted twice after that before I quit to live in a van, no lie. So I guess I did okay. Dude, your life sounds interesting as shit. Thanks. I legit quit, and I wasn't homeless or anything, just wanted to have a van for a while. I rented out my condo while I was gone. Also, I met a guy just before I left who came with me on the trip. We drove around North America, got married in Vegas at the drive-thru place at 2 a.m., but not in the van 'cause it wouldn't fit, got divorced, moved to Thailand, moved back, got some more work, more school, more work, then took off for India about 18 months ago. Met a guy, flew home with him and stayed with him for 6 months. We motorcycled through Vietnam together, and now I've been living in a bamboo and banana leaf hut on the beach in India for 4 months. I took up yoga. I work for a dream creative company, and even after working for 20 years in the industry at several huge well-known companies and having a fairly recognizable name, they did a really thorough background check which included me having to get my mother, who lives in another continent, to take my degree certificate off her dining room wall to scan and contacting my college. We've lost maybe 5 candidates in the past year due to them failing background check. Often it's their degree that they're lying about, which is weird when the job doesn't even require one, like it's an art position where we hire based on portfolio quality. That I'll never ever understand, why it's so important to show this certificate, when you are employed based on your actual skill set, often gained through work experience or talent. I have 2 legit science degrees. The certificates are somewhere in a folder. If I didn't have the degrees, I wouldn't have got my first job in this industry. My uni was right next to their offices, so they could do an easy check. But now, after working 10 plus years, I'd say I use 5% of the knowledge I gained at uni, while 95% is experience I have gained on the job and having a talent for writing. It's not really about the degree, it's more about, what else are you embellishing on your resume? We do the background check at all levels, including times where it's important like new grads. But once you've been caught lying at any level, then we can't employ you because who knows what else you've been lying about. That's why I think it's really odd to lie. Most of our roles rely on demo reels and credit lists. If you have that, and you have demonstrable skills, no one cares if you went to Juilliard or not. Lied on my resume that I knew how to write in PHP, MySQL, etc. I knew the basics of PHP and programming, but never really worked with MySQL outside of setting up a basic database. Had no idea how to actually work with it. I got asked by the president of the company to write a program. Was completely lost. Ended up learning on the spot, a lot of reading, trial and error, and about a week later I had something functioning. That framework then spiraled into a 7-year project of building a massive set of tools used extensively by about 40 people today and is now business critical. I'm entirely self-taught, and that one lie ended up forcing me to learn not only PHP, MySQL and so forth, but a hell of a lot of other things as a result as my knowledge grew and I began to integrate a lot of systems, something I would have never thought I could do. I now make triple what I started at 7.5 years ago. People like you are the reason software sucks. Kind of a bold statement seeing as you haven't seen any of my work. My friend and I fake each other for references for years. We'd use our real names but fake positions. I'd get a call. Hey, if anyone should call you about me, you are the manager at XYZ and I did a great job and only left to go back to school. Or some bullshit like that. I'd give him the same calls. We both got fired a lot. Funny thing is, no one ever called either one of us, and we both got numerous jobs with our fake references. Out of college, I was having some trouble getting work in my field without any professional experience, software engineer. A company contacted me saying that they had a program to train me then help place me in a job. I was a bit desperate at this point, so I jumped at the guarantee of a job. They set me up in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 other guys for a 10-week training program. The first few weeks weren't too bad. I was learning things that were never taught at school. At about the 5th week, reality came down hard when they let us know that they were going to spruce up our resumes for us. The rest of the training would be them teaching us how to convincingly lie about the 4 years of experience they put on our resumes. We had to learn how to talk about companies and projects we were a part of, but none of them really existed. When we were good enough at it, they started giving us job interviews. I did end up getting a job out of it, and actually came clean to my boss about a year in, which was against my contract from the training place. But fuck them. I worked there for another year and left for unrelated reasons and now work somewhere else. It was so sketchy and I hated it, but it did get me a job and I used that job as experience to get a new job. So I guess things are going okay. 410 would not recommend though. I didn't put a fake degree or anything like that, but I definitely lied on my resume. I made up fake titled positions at jobs I held, saying I was an office manager when I was literally the only person in whole office. Said I had experience using computer programs I hadn't ever used before. Said I was licensed in real estate, even though I hadn't ever even taken the exams for them, took the classes, just never took the test to get licensed, etc. Yesterday was my 1-year anniversary and my bosses decided to officially promote me to manager. Gave me a raise and then gave me approval to go ahead and hire a PT assistant to help me do my work, so I'd say things are going fairly well. Sometimes your best bet is to just fake it till you make it. Due to an unexpected layoff, we had to move to my then wife's hometown in 1998. A friend there told me about a job in HR with a large offshore vessel company that he was sure I could get. This friend was an HR manager elsewhere, and with his help, I embellished the hell out of my resume, played heavily on my past Navy experience, and studied a HR college textbook to memorize some HR-related terms, processes and such. Landed the interview, they loved me and offered me the job the same day. 19 years later, I'd been with 4 different offshore companies in various jobs, advancing my salary with each move, and am now in a nice 6-figure management position, all based on a bullshit resume that would have never withstood serious scrutiny. In my friend's circle in the 90s was this one guy. Let's call him Dave. Dave was annoying and kind of a brat in his early 20s, working at Egghead Software as a plain oil full-timer and cashier. I forgot why he hung out with us, but he did. Often the first to get trashed and drunk in and gathering. The IT craze was starting, and some friends in the circle started to get IT jobs with huge salaries. Back then, it was kind of insane. Dave decided to hop on the bandwagon and be an IT guy. Only he wasn't very smart or someone known for his planning skills. But he managed to snag a huge paying job as a senior networking technician. He knew nothing about networks. He was completely and utterly over his head. His resume was 110% lies. He claimed a CS degree and he never went to college. He had all the alphabet of certs. He claimed jobs he never had, never existed, and if you added up the experience, he must have got his degree when he was 10. We told him it was a bad idea. We cringed when he applied places, and gasped when he got a job paying $60,000 when that was a lot more money than it is now. Then we took bets when he'd be discovered and fired. It never happened. One of the first things he did was claim his certifications needed renewed. So they sent him to class and he eventually got certified. Now he had certs. The company got bought out, and he transferred there, got a huge bonus, and said he wanted to go back to school. They paid for 2 years of his tuition, I think, before he got laid off with a huge severance. He got a job making even more as a software architect, or some such nonsense. He got his degree, kept job hopping, and eventually, little over 6 years, he didn't have to make up anything. We were furious, of course. Not only did he truly fake it until he made it, he was the worst type of person to succeed. Those that worked with him said he was insufferably smug, laughably incompetent, and shamelessly brown-nosing constantly. He made friends and played golf with C-levels, rubbed elbows with elected officials, and hung out with sports celebrities. He lived in a ridiculously expensive condo, drove custom-ordered Autos, and boasted about it all. At some point around 1999, he vanished. Not like missing person vanished, but we just stopped hearing about him. I have heard all kinds of rumors, like he slept with some CEO's wife, burned out went hippie, or moved to the West Coast after killing a bunch of kids in a van while drunk driving. They sound like wishful thinking endings more than real, though. I can't Google him because his name is almost as common as John Smith. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.